Okay, for our first database, we're going to create a student database that collects demographic information on our classmates. Once you open up Microsoft Access, you're given this screen. We're going to make sure we use a blank database, but before we create that, we're actually going to go over here on the right side underneath file name and change what we're going to call this, and we're going to call this one the student DB. And we are also going to change where it saves, and you do that by clicking on the little folder here to the right, and it'll bring up a save dialog box, and you are going to want to save that inside your H drive, computers folder, and your database. Click OK, and it will save in the correct spot. Now we need to click Create to actually open the database. First screen that you see here is called the datasheet view, and you can see there's no actual data in here because this is a brand new database. We're going to open up a different view. We're going to go to the design view, and you do that by clicking on the view menu. It's going to ask you if you want to save it. You can go ahead and just name it Table 1, and you are given this view where you are going to create your field names. Our first field name is, instead of ID, going to be first name. Okay, and then the data type needs to be changed from auto number to text. Most of our data is going to be text. If it has anything other than pure numbers, for the most part, it's going to be text. All right. And before we move off of this field, there's one more step we want to do, and that's this little key that's next to it called the primary key. That primary key will cause errors to happen if you duplicate anything within the first name field. So, for example, two people have the same first name, it's going to give you an error. So we're going to actually turn off the primary key so there's no key on any of these. And then move to this next field name. This one's going to be last name. And again, it's going to be text. And then we're going to start collecting demographic data. And this is information about our classmates that we want to collect, things other than phone number or address or email. Personal information like that, people maybe are not comfortable giving out. This is going to be things more like hair color, eye color, do you wear glasses, do you have a pet, things like that. So one of the first ones we're going to do is going to be text, or a team. And because everybody's on a team, we're going to change the data type from text, and we want to make sure it is text first because what we're going to type in here will be text. But we're going to use what's called the lookup wizard, and this lookup wizard is useful for the types of answers that only have a few possible answers. So rather than everybody having to type in 71, 72, 73, 70, they can just choose from a list. So have text selected, then move down to lookup wizard, and it's going to give you a dialog box that appears. It's important here that you want to select the second choice that you're going to type in values. The first choice is a much more complicated version, so we're going to do the easy one, typing them in. Click Next, and it gives you the first column where you're going to go ahead and type in your choices. So for here we have Team 7-0. And if I go too far forward, go ahead and go back. Make sure you get all of them in. Team 7-1 and Team 7-3. Now you could, if you wanted to, for example, if I were to fill this out, I'm not on a team, so give people the option to have other. And then you can either click Next or Finish. Either way, it'll finish you up, and it looks like nothing happened, but if you want to check down here under the Lookup tab, you can see these choices that I typed in are appearing under Lookup, so it did work. Then what I want you to do is go ahead and go through here and think of 8 additional things that you would want to know about your friends. For example, what color hair do they have? Or if you want to do a yes-no question, there is a different type of data. So I'm going to ask something like, do you wear glasses? All right. And I'm going to do a data type because it's a simple yes-no answer. Yes, you wear glasses. No, you don't. I'm going to choose yes-no. And what that will give people is an option to check mark it if they're wearing glasses or leave it unchecked if they're not. So that's called a yes-no. I would highly recommend that you use a lookup wizard as often as possible. So for example, if you're doing hair color, those are going to be text, but they're also going to be lookup wizard. And then within there, you can go ahead and type in all the possible all the possible different hair colors, and you want to make sure that you're including all of the ones that people would consider themselves. So this is not the full list, but if you had a full list, I'd include things like brunette and auburn and those sorts of things. All right. Now, once you have all 8 of your additional questions, so the first 3 don't count, we gave those to you, come up with 8 additional ones, so you'll have a total of 11 fields. Once you're done with that, go ahead and click on your view and switch back to your datasheet view. So now you're ready to move on to entering in your data. All right, it's going to ask you if you want to save it. Make sure you hit yes, or you're going to lose everything you just did. And now what you should see is up across the top are all the different fields that you came up with. And you're going to have way more than this because you should have a total of 11. And then start off with typing in your information. So I'm going to go ahead and type in what team I'm on is other. I do not wear glasses, so I'm not going to leave that checked. And I have blonde hair. And then I would continue typing in my stuff. Once you've tested it out and you can see that it actually works, your assignment for the remainder of the period is to get as many of your classmates to fill out your database as possible. Ideally, we'd like to have at least 10 other people in your database, and that will allow us to do a lot more effective part of part 2 of this database. All right? Good luck.